So I asked my fans what shouldn't the third entry in the Red Dead Redemption series be about, and most responses were really good, so today I wanted to read off what you guys said. I know we all like to talk about what Red Dead 3 should be and who the character it is that we follow, but there are some ideas that I personally don't like and my fans don't like as well. If you'd like a video covering all ideas for Red Dead 3, I suggest you check out Zonker's new video featuring a bunch of Red Dead creators. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, continuing the story of the last surviving member of the Van der Linde gang might seem like the next best idea for a Red Dead 3, but if you put any actual thought behind it, it falls apart. Now, the Red Dead story ends in 1914 with Jack Marston. He kills Edgar Ross and we get to free roam for eternity. But the Wild West time period is far over by now. Outlaws are extinct, John Marston being one of the last. So if a Red Dead 3 wouldn't be about the Wild West, what should it be about? Well, there's where I say it shouldn't happen, but some people theorize that it should be placed in the First World War. After killing Ross, the government finds Jack and make him fight. I probably don't have to tell you how wrong this is, but if you think this is a good idea, you most likely don't understand what Red Dead Redemption is about. It's about the death of the Wild West. It's the message of both games, so adding a third game about the World War would be so off the mark for what Red Dead Redemption is about. It would be similar to the Evil Dead franchise. First two Evil Deads were horror comedies set in a cabin, and the third sees Ash going back in time to fight a medieval war against the dead. On paper this sounds interesting, but comparing it to the originals makes it feel like a totally different franchise. I'm not against Rockstar making a game set in the First World War, I actually want something like that, but attaching it to the Red Dead series is not necessary. It might worsen the overall experience of Red Dead Redemption. There's another popular theory that Jack joins the Mafia, but I'm not even going to go into that idea, it's just flat out bad. All the points I just made can be applied to Jack joining the Mafia, but to put it simply, just like Metro said, it shouldn't continue Jack's story because it would no longer be about the Wild West.
What up, Goobers? Dookie here. I've been invited to share my thoughts on the fantasy that is Red Dead 3, but on what it shouldn't be about. In one of my classic shorts, I mentioned a Charles or Sadie story would be nice, but upon further thought, it wouldn't be as good as people say it will. We'll go on Charles first and then save the glazing for Sadie. Charles Smith is a character that has good morals even in his outlaw life. He is an outlaw by circumstance, not choice. So if he were to be a protagonist in a game, they'd have to find a way to morph the honor system around his personality, or get rid of it completely. Charles would absolutely not massacre towns for fun. In terms of story, Charles' arc is pretty much wrapped up by the time of American Venom. He's done being a gunman, he just wants to hang out in Canada with a new family. So unless Red Dead 1's story is recycled for Charles, I don't see him getting back out there. Maybe he sees the natives in trouble and intervenes, I don't know. Whatever Rockstar does for Charles, they better keep that iron will and chill personality for the GOAT. Sadie, on the other hand, has more flexibility in her future, but is it enough? In the epilogue, she talks about having a death wish, and in American Venom, she plans on moving to South America as a mercenary. It does leave enough room for interpretation, but let's go through the options. She joins the revolution, and we get Guarma 2? I guess? Okay, so say she stays as a merc and guards a gold mine. She ends up dying? Just kidding, this is fake. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. Both choices can be interesting stories, but Rockstar would have to pull out some magic out of their ass to make it a full game. Sadie could have an honor meter, though I still don't see her massacring towns for fun. Maybe different merc jobs could give low or high honor boosts. But yes, Sadie has more potential than Charles, but I still don't think it's enough for a full game. But at the end of the day, this is all wishful thinking, because we know Rockstar can't stop thinking about that GTA Online money. This has been a Duke production, thanks to the gents that allowed me to be in here. Stay safe and goodbye.
At the beginning of Red Dead 2, the gang are trying to get away from the law chasing them because of a failed robbery attempt. In the cutscene, one of the gang members die. We obviously never see this guy again, but his name was Davy Callender, and we learned that he had a brother that was also killed in the failed robbery attempt, Mac Callender. This was before the events of the story, so we never get to see Mac, but we learned that the brothers were hotheads.
Sean, Mac, they might be okay. We don't know.
Mac was killed in a brutal way by Agent Milton.
Spare me the philosophy lesson. I've already heard it from Mac Callender.
Mac Callender.
He was pretty shot up by the time I got to him. So really, it was more of a mercy killing.
Having these guys be the protagonists might seem like a good idea at first, having the characters meet with the other characters of the other games, but Red Dead 2 tells us that these characters were somewhat assholes, similar to Micah perhaps, so these characters wouldn't even compare to Arthur and his redemption story. Maybe it would make for a neat DLC, but for a whole Red Dead 3 it might come off as a lackluster sequel to one of Rockstar's best games of all time. It's not the worst idea, but I personally don't like it. Alright, I feel like this is going to be the one I'm going to get some backlash on, but a Red Dead 3 prequel to Red Dead 2 introducing how the gang started isn't a great idea, following a young Arthur, Dutch, and Hosea getting into all kinds of mischief and eventually ending the game on the Blackwater Massacre. Again, if you're new to Red Dead, you might think this is a great idea, but first think of the two Red Dead Redemption games. First game sees our protagonist, John Marston, die. In the second game, our new protagonist, Arthur Morgan, dies. See a trend? Both games make you fall in love with these characters, so when seeing their death it's like seeing one of our family members die. Red Dead 3 following the game just wouldn't be as climactic. It might be interesting for Red Dead fans to see, but it would feel like filler. It would feel like an unwarranted prequel. You know, it would just feel less impactful. To put it simply, think of what the gang does in Red Dead 2. They're being chased, they somehow land up on a tropical island, their leader loses his mind, meanwhile many characters die in the process. So much crazy stuff happens in Red Dead 2. So now think of what Red Dead 3 story would be like. It would be introducing a bunch of characters all in one game and we never get to see the ending of their story. Sure, you get that ending in Red Dead 2, but my point is Red Dead 3 would feel pretty unsatisfying. It would feel like it doesn't really have an impactful ending. Sure, seeing the Blackwater Massacre at the end would be cool, but there's like 5 times in Red Dead 2 where the gang go through a massacre that's probably 10 times worse than Blackwater. Maybe it would make for a decent DLC, but a whole game? Nah, I don't think so. There are other theories about what the game could be, but to me they don't seem likely. I would love a Landon Ricketts game actually, that's probably the best idea, but for now, thank you all for watching.